Welcome back to the Do the Work podcast. My name's Dale. I'm a personal trainer and I have been for over 16 years now, and I've helped hundreds of people in the Preston and South Ribble area to feel happier, healthier, to have more energy and to feel more confident. But today I want to talk to you about how I've lost 4 kilos this year without saying no to pretty much anything that I've wanted. And I feel like this is really topical right now because you might be thinking that summer's coming, you might have a summer holiday, you might be thinking about barbecues and ultimately wearing less clothes and potentially not feeling confident or comfortable in your skin. So what I want to talk to you about is how you can make some progress like I have this year without saying no, as I say, to absolutely everything that you want. Because most people go into summer thinking they need to go on a crazy crash diet, and they think about doing shake diets or just really low calorie diets. And then they're successful for, a short period of time. They go all in. They do it for a week or a few weeks, and then they just fall off a cliff because life happens and you can't stick to the things that you said that you were going to do because it's ultimately too extreme and it's just completely different from the life that you had before. And so to take you back to January, I stepped on the scales and I was the heaviest I've ever been. And so that was a little bit of a shock to me. I knew I'd put a little bit of weight on, but I wasn't expecting me to be the heaviest I've ever been. So that was a moment where I needed to draw a line in the sand and I needed to lose some weight ultimately. And since then, I have, as I say, lost 4 kilos, which in 3.5 months isn't a whole lot of weight to lose in that time. However, I have done that by not being all in or going on any crazy diets or anything like that. So within that time, I've had a couple of trips away. I've not said no to a dessert when I've wanted one. I've not even really fully kind of followed my normal structure of food all the time. And I've just tidied things up a little bit. I've just not been overindulging at times when necessarily I don't need to, out of boredom and things like that. And what that's resulted in is just some good habits around food, exercise and steps. And that's meant I've lost a real slow, steady amount of weight of 4 kilos over those 3.5 months. Now, what I want to talk to you about is how most people they want the results now. They want the Amazon Prime next day delivery. Like everything that we get is today, tomorrow, now. And unfortunately with weight loss, nothing that is going to be sustainable works in that way. And most people fail because they think that they need to be all in with their weight loss. And that's exactly why they keep stopping, because they quit every time that it gets hard. And if your expectation of how it should be is that things should be perfect or it's not worth doing, then of course things are not going to go to plan, and then you're going to keep quitting, and ultimately you're going to keep gaining and losing the same weight over however many, months or even years, to the point where it's really frustrating. You never actually get anywhere. So it's that there is another way. There is another way to do it. And it's the way that I've been doing it since January. And this is what most people need to do. They need to see this as a long-term lifestyle change rather than I need to lose a stone in 4 weeks kind of thing. Because you just end up, as I say, continuing to lose that same stone over and over again, regain it, lose it, regain it, lose it. And nothing ever really gets all that much better other than maybe you lose a few pounds for a holiday that's coming up. And so, as I say, the way I've done it is a much more sustainable way of doing things. At Do the Work HQ, we don't believe in kind of the quick fix mentality, and we very much focus on imperfect action, which means that things aren't always going to go 100% to plan. And we also shouldn't expect perfect. And as I say, most people's view of how things should go with regards to weight loss is perfect or nothing. So they start Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they are good. And what good means is, in their mind, they've eaten a salad, they've had no, treats, to use that term loosely. You're not a dog, by the way, but no treats. They've been to the gym 2 or 3 times. They've done 12,000 steps a day. And then all of a sudden Thursday comes or Friday comes and just something happens in your week, whether it's with kids or at work or whatever. It throws you off. You have a glass of wine or you have a dessert and then you're like, oh, fuck it. What's the point? And then you stop for the rest of the week. The weekend goes tits up and then you start again come Monday. And then all that, in theory, in inverted commas, good work that you did Monday to Wednesday goes to shit because Thursday to Sunday is the complete opposite of what you were doing. And so instead, you don't have to do it that way. You can accept that social occasions, stressful days, things that come up, missed training sessions because got to sort something out with the kids is part of life. And that's not a reason to stop trying to achieve the thing that you were doing. You don't have to be all or nothing. And actually, imperfect action is far better, because the bit that's different here, the approach, is that you just don't quit. You just go back into the habits that you're trying to do more often rather than not, rather than thinking the only way is to only do those habits all of the time until you achieve your goal, or there's no point in doing it. And that's how most people operate. And that's why they never get to where they want to be, because we're not physically capable of keeping up 100% compliance to everything that we should be doing. Because actually, a healthy and sustainable diet includes the things that we love doing. It includes sometimes missing the gym because something comes up, or we have to work late, or there's a social occasion that we want to go to. Or it means, as I say, having that dessert if you just fancy it late at night. Because anything else is just going to lead you to hating the process, not enjoying it, and eventually caving into those desires and cravings and what have you anyway. Sorry, just to quickly interrupt this episode, but if you are looking for some help with your health and fitness, we would of course love to help. So if you want to find out more about what we do, you can click the link below and you can sign up for our emails, and 1, 2, or 3 times a week, I'll send you something educational, motivational, or just informative about what we do, hints, tips, and things that you can do to help improve your health and fitness. But again, also to find out how we do things here at Do the Work HQ to see if we might be the gym for you. But for now, back to the episode. If you're following personal trainers who are, obsessed about, I know I've done a photo shoot before, but obsessed about doing photo shoots, and all their content is around how they're perfect and they wake up at crazy time in the morning and, they go to bed at 8 p.m. and they train 5 days a week and they track every calorie and all of that. Like, that isn't real life. And so you shouldn't align the expectations of what you're going to do to achieve the results that you want, which probably isn't to do a photo shoot. It's just to lose a few pounds or lose a stone or something like that, to feel a bit better about yourself. So you don't need to take on those extreme methods to achieve a different result. I don't recommend a photo shoot for anyone, by the way. So what I want you to do instead is just lower the bar and lower the expectations. Instead of setting the bar at doing 4 or 5 training sessions a week, why not commit to a minimum of 2 or 3? And instead of setting yourself a daily step goal where if you don't achieve it on Wednesday, you're just like, fuck it for the rest of the week, give yourself a weekly target so that you're always in the game to achieve your target. And if you do have a low day because the weather's shit, or because you're stuck to your desk and you're really busy, or whatever what might have impacted your ability to do your steps that day, you've not failed. You can still make the extra steps up on a different day, on a Friday or on a weekend when you've got a little bit more time to do so. With regards to nutrition, if your diet is that you have to have a shake for breakfast and a shake for dinner, and then, for your tea, you can have a meal, then it isn't going to stick and it isn't going to work. If your diet is that you have to be 100% compliant and it doesn't include carbohydrates, or it doesn't include any form of, sugary, sweet things or something like that, then you're also going to fail. So actually you need to plan in, how do I keep in the things that I love but have less of them, rather than completely cut them out? Because completely cutting these things out is just going to make you want them more. And then when you do have them, you're going to think that you've failed. And then that cycle is going to repeat again. You're going to think that you can't do it. You're a failure. There's no point. What's the point in trying? All these things that you tell yourself in your head because of how you've aligned how you should approach weight loss and even fitness to a point before. But instead, if you just accepted that things aren't always going to be perfect, and actually the goal is not to be all or nothing, the goal is to do what you should be doing most of the time. Don't beat yourself up if something comes up. Yes, you've got to hold yourself to a higher standard. Yes, you've got to do more than you're doing right now. But it doesn't need to be either doing nothing or doing all of it. There's got to be some element of balance in between. And as soon as you do that, you then accept that failure isn't really a thing, quitting isn't really a thing. You just keep going. You just do the thing that comes up, whether it's the social occasion or, okay, I had that day, or I missed training that day, but it's no problem. I can go training the next day. Or do you know what? I only got 2 training sessions in this week. It's still 2 more than what I did before. Next week, I'll make sure I get the 3 in. I'll move something around or, whatever to fit it in. And that's the only mentality that's going to keep you in the game long enough to achieve the results that you say you want. The all or nothing thing has never worked. It never will work. The only people it works for are people that are absolutely obsessed with fitness, which isn't most people. So what you need to do instead is just realign yourself so that you just do your best. I know that sounds a little bit lame in some sense, but do your best in the sense that, yeah, hold yourself to a higher standard. But if you don't quite meet the 3 or 4 training sessions and you get 2 in, as I say, you've still done 2. You've still done amazing compared to what you were doing before. And it doesn't undo the work that you've done in the previous days, weeks, or months just by going out for one night or just by having one glass of wine or just by having a dessert. Actually, it might complement it because it allows you to enjoy some of the things that you enjoy and then just carry on doing what you're supposed to be doing. The other piece of this, as I say, is in terms of how I've approached it, is if I have wanted something, I've had it, I've just tried to create as much structure as possible. So other little tips here are, if you're trying to think about what you should be eating, try and keep the same sort of structure. Try and eat at similar times, similar portions, and even during the day, try and eat similar things because it's just so much easier for prep and it takes the decision away from you. But if something comes up, if you're on the road, you need to pick something up, it's not the end of the world. And what we don't want to do there is just think, fuck it, the rest of the day might as well just be this, that, and the other. You just get straight back into the flow of what basically your plan is, what you should be doing. And that, as I say, is the only way that you stay in the game long enough to achieve the results that you say you want. And also without it making you feel miserable. The process is not supposed to be miserable. You're supposed to get some benefit from the process as well. And to be honest, most people, when they start making progress and they start feeling better, they notice the progress on the scales, they're looking better, they've got more energy, all of that stuff. They start enjoying the process on the way. But if the process is you beating yourself up because you've not been perfect to the plan that was wrong in the first place and setting yourself up to be perfect, then it's just going to be a love-hate relationship of fitness and health and looking after yourself and weight loss, which is not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to, yes, you're going to have to make sacrifices and yes, you're going to have to fit in around things in your life, but to a point, you're supposed to blend it in with the rest of your life. You're supposed to still have a social life. You're supposed to still see family. You're supposed to still sometimes have desserts if you want them. And if your expectations are anything other than that, then you're only doomed for failure. And that's exactly how I've lost 4 kilos so far this year. And again, you might say 4 kilos, well, it's not that much. But if someone has lost nothing because they've either been all or nothing, all or nothing, all or nothing, then isn't it better to make 4 kilos of progress and still have some of the things that you want rather than get nowhere and have tried really hard for 50% of the time and then have done nothing for the other 50% of the time? So I encourage you to just change the way you look at health and fitness, change the way you look at what it is to lose weight and how you set yourself up to get there. Because if you set yourself up with the expectation that everything's just going to go perfect and there's no social occasions, so I'm going to be flat out 100%, it's not going to work. You're going to ultimately come to a point where something doesn't go right and psychologically you're not going to be able to deal with it because it doesn't match your expectations of what it should be. So instead, we just have to adjust and realign our expectations, as I say, to be someone who goes to the gym more often, who eats healthy more often, who does their steps more often. And when something doesn't go to plan, all we do is the next day or the next meal or whatever it is, we carry on doing what we set ourselves to do. We don't allow something going wrong to derail us from the overall plan because everything that came before has allowed us to make progress. And if we've made 10 steps forward, and even if we look at this, I don't like looking at it this way, we made 10 steps forward, but then 1 step back. Well, we're still 9 steps further ahead of where we were. So we're still good. We're still fine. So then from there, we make another few steps forward. And that's how we have to see this. It isn't all or nothing. It isn't perfect or nothing. It's imperfect action. And that's how you get the results. That's how I've lost 4 kilos this year. There's no harm in having periods where you go a little bit harder. However, you cannot go at 100% intensity all that time. Consistency is more important than intensity because we can't keep intensity up for a long period of time. And most people coming into this who needs to lose half a stone, or more than that, need to focus on consistency, not intensity, because we can all be good for a few days, but we need to have a sustainable approach to this so that we can stay at the table, so that we can keep doing the work, so to speak, for a period of weeks and months and even years to get to where we want to be and then maintain it. Because the other piece of this is what you don't want to do is lose the weight through extreme methods and then simply go back to what you did before and put the weight back on and need to do exactly the same again. And again, we then just basically create that love-hate thing with fitness, with weight loss and what have you. And that's just not what we do here at Do The Work HQ. So I encourage you to change your expectations of what it should be. It shouldn't be perfect. It shouldn't be all or nothing. It should be imperfect action. And you shouldn't beat yourself up when things don't go to plan. You should just go, okay, no worries, I get back to doing what I'm doing. And that's how you get results long term. That's how you get results like I have, where I've lost 4 kilos over the last few months. And again, it might not seem like a lot of weight, but if it's 4 kilos more than you're losing right now, and you can enjoy the process and not say no to pretty much anything that you want, then I would say that's a better approach than being all or nothing. So if that's been useful, please hit a like below, leave a comment if you've got any questions. Thank you for listening or watching, and I'll be back soon with more content.